right now. Hello and welcome to coverage of GP Oklahoma City. Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Jacob Van Linden, and we are underway in round number 13. So we're down the stretch. We're going to play round 13 here. We've got 2 more rounds to go after that. And there we go. We've got Reid Duke on the left side. He's playing his 4-color zoo deck, splash and blue. His opponent, Braun-Duin, we call him BBD. He's playing Twin, it looks like.
I think it might just be blue-red twin, and he's splashing green for Ancient Grudge post-board.
Okay, so we'll get that fixed. It's just Splinter Twin on Braun-Duin. Meanwhile,
pretty cool deck here from Reid Duke. Not something you're really used to seeing. 4-color zoo deck here. He's, getting all the power from Wild Nicottle, 3-power creature for just 1 mana, can come down as early as turn 1. But then, he says, maybe that's not enough. I want blue because I want access to Geist of Saint Traft. Just, one of the very best threats available in Modern. It's just that the color combination doesn't lend itself to an aggressive strategy here. So you really don't see much in the way of Geist of Saint Traft in Modern recently. Such a powerful card, though. Reid is playing 2 copies of one of my favorite cards of all time, Elspeth Knight Errant.
Knight Errant?
Knight Errant, yeah. Oh,
yeah, she's great. One of the first Planeswalkers that really showed us what the raw power of a Planeswalker could be, where we're like, wait, there's 2+ abilities on this one?
Yeah, that was... when it was printed, it was easily the best one of all time.
Yeah. We've printed a couple since then that might take that crown. Well, there's a 1/1 Wild Nicottle here. Pretty unexciting. But it does mean that the Elemental ends up being a 2/2. Reid Duke's going to attack with it here, though. It does get blocked.
Yeah, and that means that if he has a red land, which he does, now his Wild Nicottle's a 3/3, then he could also have bolted to finish off the Exarch. So...
But BBD called him on it, and Reid Duke says, okay, fine, you got me. I'll play my Tarmogoyf here. Tarmogoyf looks like it's a 3/4, though we won't know for sure.
Until
the Tarmographic. No, the what?
Tarmographic?
Yeah, Tarmographic.
All right, there we go.
It's got a name. You can at least do him the due diligence of calling him by his given name.
Can't wait to see him. He's one of my favorite guys around.
Oh, he'll show up. There he is.
Oh, hey, buddy.
Hey, dude.
Welcome to the party.
You look medium-sized.
Cool interaction there.
What just happened?
The lightning bolt leaving the graveyard made the Tarmogoyf into a 2/3. Tarmographic didn't even see it coming.
Yeah.
And there he left. It was good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, but
next time.
But it shrunk it down just long enough to have it killed. And since the lightning bolt doesn't go back to the graveyard, it gets exiled instead off of the flashback. Because normally, if a lightning bolt went to the yard in that scenario, the Tarmogoyf would actually survive still.
Yeah,
but not in that case. So nice little play from Braun-Duin, sending that Tarmogoyf packing. We'll also note that the Sacred Foundry from Reid Duke makes the Wild Nicottle full powered. And he's back.
He's back. This time, a little bit smaller than last time.
Yeah, just on the old 2/3 here, right? Land and creature. So, gonna need an instant or a sorcery or something to kind of get him pumped up. And he's gonna need 2 different things to get him through the Deceiver Exarch, especially since BBD. He showed, I am willing to block. I will block that.
When you're playing against a zoo strategy like this, and they have access to...
Whoa!
Ooh.
That's now a 4/4 elemental token.
Yeah.
Which is big enough to get through, and it's going to hit BBD down to 16. So Nice clean play here from Reid Duke, developing out his board, going wide.
Yeah, Voice of Resurgence, such a strong card. It really doesn't see a ton of play in Modern right now. Again, there were a lot of Abzan decks playing it at the most recent Pro Tour, over Tarmogoyf actually, as a nod to Liliana of the Veil. But it's just a very powerful card, and if you're looking for another 2-drop and you don't have access to, let's say, something like Dark Confidant in your deck, then Voice of Resurgence is about as good as it gets. Especially against these decks that are operating on the opponent's turn, primarily.
Here's a
like
roast.
Splinter Twin.
Now this roast does kill a Tarmogoyf, but it also is going to jump up the other one to a 3/4.
Mitigates that a bit by also shrinking the elemental down.
Yeah, that's huge. It really is. It's a big deal here. Means the elemental can be blocked now profitably. Reid, of course, could just play another creature here on his first main phase and change that back. He also could find an instant to maybe take out the Snapcaster Mage. That would get the Tarmogoyf through also, but not the elemental. So Reid's got 3 cards and he's trying to figure out exactly what he wants to do with them.
It's hard because you don't really want to use something like a Path Exile on your opponent's Deceiver Exarch here, because then you give your opponent another land, and right now...
Wow, how about just play 2 creatures?
It seems good to me.
Now, interestingly, Reid is still going to attack with all 3, though.
Yeah, we may see a double block here on Wild Nicottle.
Yeah, with Reid Duke tapped out, that is a clean trade my Snapcaster for your Nicottle. Though it still has him taking, what, 8?
Yeah.
Ouch.
It's a lot.
It's half of his remaining life total in 1 hit. But he's got to do it, right?
Yeah, it's definitely the best block available.
And so Wooded Foothills to finish things off here.
Reid now hellbent.
He's got nothing in hand. Braun-Duin trying to manage many things at once here. He needs to manage the board state by keeping the creatures dead, but then the Tarmogoyf keeps growing and it's starting to get really difficult to actually kill. The elemental's huge.
And that Stirring Wildwood actually makes it so that even with a block on the biggest guy, he's still going to be taking lethal with the attack next turn. Last turn, Braun-Duin left open mana to cast Spell Snare. He has Spell Snare in hand. And Reid's threats are primarily 2 mana.
Yeah, that's really
stage,
awkward.
and he was able to cast a 1-drop and a 3-drop.
Just due to his draw.
Yeah.
There's no, that was all the cards he had, but yeah. Yeah, the Knight of the Reliquary is a 4/4 right now, and it can jump up to 5/5 with that Wooded Foothills. So huge threats here on Reid Duke's side, and Braun-Duin. Of course, the real tension from Reid's side is, does he go untapped red source, kill you? That play was available for BBD. I think we've realized now that since it's been his turn for a while, he's not doing that. But that was the sweat from Reid Duke's perspective.
So there's something interesting about Reid's deck that I'd like to talk about. Knight of the Reliquary is a card that we usually see a lot of shenanigans alongside of.
Yes.
You know, people are playing things like Sajiri Step, Ghost Quarter, all these things to disrupt their opponent.
Bog, yeah.
And Reid has none of that.
No, nothing?
Reid is playing Knight of the Reliquary because in his deck, he's playing a ton of fetch lands. And it's just huge. And the other thing is that his mana's kind of bad. It not only is it huge, but it actually fixes his mana.
This is a risky play here for BBD. I think he's electrolyzing the Knight.
Oh, interesting.
Does he have land Lightning Bolt?
I think that's the goal here.
But he's going to take a bunch of damage to do it. He's falling down to 6 here. Kill your Knight of the Reliquary. That works.
Yeah.
And again, that elemental does shrink down a bit, but the Tarmogoyf now is a 4/5 because he just put a couple of instants in the graveyard.
Yeah, and Braun-Duin going to have to chump block next turn. And what he needs to happen here is he needs to... Ooh, this is awkward. And that's it.
All right. Awkward indeed. Reid Duke.
Even a chump block not going to do it there.
Plan
3 power
A,
from the Stirring Wildwood.
right? Yeah, I mean, basically BBD needed to find a Splinter twin off the top of his deck to win, and he didn't, and that was it. Now I got to see what's going on in this back match. We've got Paul Reitzel over there playing this Merfolk deck like a violin. Matthew Duggan on the left-hand side. He must have been playing great this weekend too. He's on Scape Shift and 12-0 JVL. Like, this guy just has not lost yet.
Wow.
Dear goodness, look at this board state.
Yeah, now here's the thing is that Matthew Duggan right now,
Well,
even though he's
came right
casting
in at the
Scape
right
Shift,
time,
he
yeah.
cannot kill Paul.
No, he
he
can
only
get him to
sacrificed
2.
7 lands.
Yeah.
He'd get him to 2. So what he's going to have to do here is he's going to have to use his Scape Shift to
mitigate this board.
Yeah, to just wipe Paul's board, and then he needs to try to draw into another Scape Shift to win the game. Or he can just draw mountains and just get them.
Now, interesting to note here is that Master of Waves has protection from red, but that's not actually relevant here, right?
No, Valakut the Molten Pinnacle, despite producing red mana, is actually colorless.
Yeah.
It's a land.
It's an easy mistake to make. I remember when Valakut first came out, people kept getting fumbled up on that. But, yeah.
You can deal with Court Firewalkers and whatever you want. With.
Now, he's going to have to burn a lot of these triggers, though, because you can see that Cure Great Glass Spinner is going to mean that anything he wants to kill is going to take 2. So 1, 2, 1, 2.
Is Kira just spells, or is it spells or abilities?
It's spells or abilities, including your own. Like, if you ever tried to equip Kira,
Yeah, you need to.
That's a painful
go
lesson to
multiple
learn.
times.
Yeah, I've seen people do that in Cube. Put my Jitte on this. Don't do it again. But this is still a big hit here, and Paul Reitzel is applying maximum pressure. Even though he had the lethal all set up, he did force Matthew to really burn through a lot of resources to make that last play work. I mean, one question that I always have with these Scape Shift decks is, does he have enough mountains left? Like, if he just fired off a Scape Shift here, could he even win?
Well, the thing is that if he gets, he doesn't have to sacrifice all of his lands, so he can wait till he gets enough lands to use multiple Valakut triggers.
Sure, but he only has
opponent.
one Valakut currently.
Yeah, I mean, he would have to search up more Valakuts, is what I'm saying. So he needs more lands in play. Once you start running out of mountains, you need to just get more lands out.
Right.
And then you can start, because once you have like 3 Valakuts in play, all you need to do is search for 3 mountains, and that, ends up being 27 damage.
It says he's at 8 here, Duggan, but didn't he take?
Yeah, I thought he took 4 and
4?
went to 4.
That's what I think too. I'm getting that double checked here. He's at 1?
Oh. Okay.
All right. Well, that's going to make things pretty difficult for him. He's got to chew through enough removal to kill Kira and then kill the Silvergill Adept.
He could use Cryptic Command as a fog.
Yes.
Tapping all of Paul Reitzel's creatures.
That works.
And then drawing a card.
That works even through Kira.
Yeah.
You do see that.
But he does not have enough blue mana to do that, actually.
No, he doesn't.
He can Snapcaster Bolt the Kira and then trade with the Silvergill.
Okay. There's a lot of ways Paul can put a wrench in that works.
Yeah, I mean, Island Walk.
Island Walk at all. These players are in game 1. It's effectively a win and in for Duggan. He'll have 2 rounds to go with no losses if he wins this match. He could just lose both and be in the top 8.
Yeah, looking really, really good for Matthew Duggan right near top 8 berth.
Now, if he loses this and then loses the next 2, that's trouble. But he would have to be quite unlucky because he would also have to be at, no chance for a draw as well. I just want to see how this ends up finishing up. Our other match has started, and we're going to jump back over to it, but I'm assuming that this is going to be the last turn. There's Bolt. Sure. Trigger. Counter that. Snapcaster Bolt. This is interesting now. Yeah, we'll just hang here for a moment. Bolt Kira. Oh, we have a response. Play another Silver Gill Adept. Draw a card. He's playing this off of an Aether Vial, so he's got his mana up as well. But even though the deck's mono blue, it doesn't run counter spells, so this is all going to happen. Yeah, let's just do this. If you're interested in what's going on primarily in our main match, you can see it down there on the bottom, so we can kind of keep up with that. But I am curious just to get an idea of where this match is going, since it does seem that we've hit the critical turns here of this game, as Reitzel has again produced another lethal threat here. And Matthew Duggan, who's undefeated on the weekend, he's the only one left who's undefeated, is in a bit of a spot. He's going to play a Master of the Pearl Trident.
Ooh, so if Paul had pre-combat put the Silver Gill in,
then he would have drawn the Master, could have played the Master and just mumbled.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Of course, the only combination of cards where that's the correct play is Snapcaster and Bolt in hand.
Because he did not have a Bolt in the yard yet.
Yeah. I mean, a rare misstep for Paul Reitzel. I mean, that's not something we see from him.
Right. Now, what are we seeing here? Search for Tomorrow?
Yeah, so Search for Tomorrow is going to search for an 8th land, and then...
He's going to start mowing down the threats.
Yeah.
So the real question is, does he have one more answer here? Because Paul's ready to win. Wow, Matthew Duggan is just hanging on.
And he now has 7 of his mountains in play. Let me count how many he has. He only has 3 mountains remaining in his deck now. So it's pretty dangerous. He's going to need to get to a point where he's able to scape shift and have oh, wow, and this isn't really what he wants to be doing. So he's Snapcaster Maging here, and I guess maybe he has to repeal the Snapcaster Mage? Or, oh, no, he doesn't. He can just target, like, a card, draw a spell, and then trade with the Silver Gill Adept. So he can just, like, target the repeal, and then if Paul doesn't play anything, he can just repeal an Aether Vial.
That's exactly what he did. But is Paul finally out of threats here? He's got him down to 1.
Yeah, that's the thing about the Merfolk deck, is it has no reach. And the only card that would even have access
so
to
it can't
really
block
is...
flyers, you mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's... well, it doesn't have any burn spells to finish the opponent off. It's an aggressive deck with no burn spells. Hypothetically, you could have access...
That took you way too long, by the way.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, hypothetically, you could play something like...
oh, hold on. Let's see if
Psionic Blast is a good one. Yeah, which is the blue char. Yeah. 2 colorless and a blue. Deal 4 damage to target creature or player and deals you 2. It's not a bad card.
Here's another Lightning Bolt, though, for Duggan. He's got the answers. And Paul is out of threats. He's got a pair of islands in his hand. Wow.
You gotta like Duggan's chances, considering the game state.
Now? But he can finish Paul. Remember, Paul's at 20. He takes no damage from his lands.
Yeah, so once he gets to 9 lands on the battlefield, then he can use Escape Shift to search for 3 mountains and the other 2 copies of Valakut. And then it's 27 damage, and that's lethal.
Okay, well, that's his plan. Does this mean that Paul's going to get some time to do this?
Yeah, well, Matthew Duggan just has to draw a land.
He's 1 land away.
He's 1 land away.
Well, he's peering through depths again. I saw Escape Shift in there.
I think he already has Escape Shift.
Oh, he's already got one in his hand?
Yeah.
So now he has Remand in hand. He also, last time he got a another repeal off of it as well. So things looking very good for Matthew Duggan here, who's... oh, there it is.
Yep. And here we go.
Oh, he's passed a turn back.
Oh, does he not have enough? Does he have... counted. Hold on.
Yeah, you count it up. You do the math. You run the numbers.
Oh, he's only playing 2 Valakuts.
how does he win now? By the way, there's a Marrow Regery for Reitzel.
Yeah, so he can only deal 18
Looks
with
like
his scape shifts.
Looks like that game on our lower right-hand side just passed us by as well.
Yeah. So he
I'm
can only
assuming
deal
that was,
18 via scape shift, so he needs to use a bolt or electrolyze to get Paul down to 18 here.
Okay.
And then he can scape shift for lethal.
Wow, but he's had to use all of his burn spells on Paul's threats. This is a pretty crazy game.
This is a really crazy game.
There's a cryptic command in hand for Duggan as well. The phantasmal image, not long for this world.
And there is a lightning bolt in his graveyard, so Snapcaster Mage does it. Jeez. Cryptic command right now, a 4-mana removal spell on that phantasmal image that does not draw Matthew Duggan a card because it'll be countered when it targets it.
Looks like he's lining up a scape shift here. Is that what he's doing? He is. Scape shifting for 2 lands. He got a non-mountain and a Valakut.
Interesting. So he must have sacrificed mountains to the first scape shift? And so he might just be...
Yeah, this is what I was asking you before. Is he out of mountains?
Yeah, that's the thing, is he had... The number that he had in play led me to believe that he had 3 remaining in his deck. Maybe he has less than that, and he needs to just do it the hard way and just win with that last Snapcaster Mage and by attacking with Secure Tribe Elders.
The really hard way?
Not impossible.
He's going to have to take Paul from 20 to 0 with that?
Seems like it.
Oh, no. All right, here's Cryptic Command. Modes.
And Cryptic Command, he's going
to return his own mountain. In this case, the Stomping Grounds, and tap the team. Okay.
I like it. I like it.
All right.
Oh, man.
I see where we're going.
Deep.
Matthew Duggan just
dug in deep into the brain.
Yeah, he's
found a way.
This is interesting. See that he's got an Anger of the Gods in his hand as well.
Reitzel is playing Vapor Snag.
He's playing 1. That's his form of reach. Yeah. Yeah, that would work.
It would work.
Not on a Tribe Elder, unfortunately, which is the creature that Duggan has. Snapcaster Mage, it could work, though.
Yeah. Duggan could use something like Repeal, though, to return it to his hand.
Anger of the Gods to clear out that phantasmal image here.
Wow. This game.
There's that Secure Tribe Elder. That guy's carrying a very heavy load.
Yeah. You, sir, I believe in you.
He's got to do like 14 damage or something.
Do you believe?
No. I believe in Paul Reitzel.
Yeah, I mean, Paul Reitzel is one of the greatest Magic players of all time.
Yeah, that's why I believe in him. So he's going to cast 2 lethal threats, including one that's going to tap down the blocker. Remand the Regery, I suppose. Well, Regery got put in.
Regery got vialed in,
right.
So he has to remand that.
Yeah, but it doesn't work because it has Cavernous Souls on it. Was that a lightning bolt?
It was a lightning bolt.
Interesting. That gets tapped. Return it. Oh, combo. That's pretty sweet. And that's it. Paul Reitzel does find the win.
Yeah, and I
In
think
Paul
actually,
Rietzel, we trust.
yeah, I think Duggan actually misstepped a little bit there. When he peered through depths earlier, he put a remand into his hand when his opponent had multiple Aether Vials on the battlefield, and he could have chosen a Cryptic Command over it.
Oh, geez.
So then he could have returned multiple mountains back to his hand and used those actually as removal spells.
Nice. All right, well, Paul Rietzel wins that one. That means that we're going to come right back to our main match as we start Game 3. We see that BBD managed to pick up Game 2 quite quickly. I'm assuming he comboed off.
Yeah, I mean, he is the traditional blue-red Splinter Twin deck, so he is much more combo-centric than the other versions of the deck that we've seen. Voice of Resurgence, very strong against Splinter Twin decks.
Yeah, turn 2, though, no land here for Duke.
It has the Noble Hierarch to help out, but I'm not sure if it's going to be enough.
Oh! Oof. Pyroclasm is going to leave Reid Duke with a 1/1 elemental. He needs to find a land here. He did! Found a Windswept Heath.
Let's see what he has as a follow-up. Lots of good 2s in Reid's deck. Tarmogoyf, Scavenging Ooze, Voice of Resurgence. Postboard is Thalia, which you actually saw in the bottom right-hand corner.
And there's a replacement Voice of Resurgence now for Reid Duke. Pass the turn back to BBD. And he's going to use his Deceiver Exarch proactively. He's going to use it on his turn to untap his Steam Vents and then fire off Rending Volley to kill a token and leave Reid Duke with just a 2/2, right? And this is the downside, of course, to the Voice, is that if you can maneuver it such that it's just a Voice of Resurgence not being abused, it's just a 2/2.
Yeah, it does force your opponent to play on their turn, which is what we're seeing. But for Brian, he's pretty far ahead after Reid missed that second land drop and he had the Pyroclasm. So he kind of has the opportunity to play on his turn. Normally a deck like Splinter Twin, you're basically operating on your opponent's end step.
That's right.
Almost exclusively, except when you're using cards like Pyroclasm and Anger of the Gods.
Right. And this is awkward now, of course, for Reid Duke, right? Because we know that Braun-Duin can easily just go land Splinter Twin you. So Reid has to at least keep up one white mana to represent a path to exile of some sort here.
He doesn't have to.
Well, he might not have to. I mean, he might have a burn spell here.
You might just have to go for it.
Who?
Does that make sense? Reid? I mean, he may just have to say, well, if he's got it, he's got it.
Okay.
Because if I just sit here and wait and don't have anything pressuring him, and he's just drawing cards, then I'm not going to win this game.
Here's untapped red mana now for Reid Duke. Does he have a burn spell? Because that would take that option off the table.
A lightning bolt here would be very good for Reid.
No, he's just going for it, like you said. So this is a big opening now for BBD. Does he have red, and does he have the Splinter Twin? Uh-oh, that's a really quick Scalding Tarn.
Yeah, and it looked like he drew a red card. I don't know what it is, but...
This could be game. Shields are fully down for Reid Duke. The winner of this match is going to stay alive for top 8 contention. The loser's effectively out. Does he have it? That's 4 mana, and he's got it. Braun-Duin assembles a twin combo. That's why you play that right there, right? The fact that, your opponent stumbles a little bit, and you can be like, oops, I won. Done.
Yeah.
Even though it doesn't normally happen, right? Like, if you watch these games play out, actually comboing off with Splinter Twin isn't as common as you might think it is. It's more of a threat of it type thing, but, having the option is pretty great. Let's go back over to Game 2 now on Matthew Duggan versus Paul Rietzel. Paul pulling out Game 1 after it looked like he was way, way, way ahead. Got back down to parity, but stayed just far enough ahead to finish off the game there against Matthew. And there's Cure Great. For a one-of, we've seen this thing on the battlefield a lot.
This thing does a lot of work, too.
It does work.
Doesn't attack for a lot of damage too fast, though, and that's kind of a problem when you're playing against a deck like Scapeshift.
You need to pile on the damage ASAP.
Yeah. Post board, Paul does have Spell Pierces and Remands, but those aren't very good against Scapeshift. So the thing is Duggan needs to get to 8 lands to win anyway, so he's going to be able to easily pay for a Spell Pierce, and if his Scapeshift gets remanded, he can just play it again.
Here's a Peer Through Depths now from Duggan.
Remand a bit better this time when there aren't Aether Vials on the battlefield. But it is a very awkward card to have in your deck when your opponent does have access to Aether Vial. Usually one of the first cards I try to cut during sideboarding.
Wow, look at Paul Rietzel's hand. Thing is stacked up.
Yep.
Spreading Seas.
Ooh. Interesting.
Now, that also takes it off of mountain status, right? You know, for Valakut purposes. It turns it into an island, so therefore it's not a mountain anymore.
Yeah, it does. I believe the Enchanted Land loses its existing land types.
Yes, it becomes an island.
Yeah.
So that can set back the Scapeshift player even further.
Yeah, I mean, he can just sacrifice that to the Scapeshift. It's
Sure.
not going to set back.
But I mean, like we saw in the first game, he ran out of mountains at some point, right?
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's only because he had to use the Scapeshift defensively, though. This game, it
Yeah.
looks like he's just going to be able to, you know, like, anger the gods.
That's the question here that Paul Rietzel really has to face, right? Can he play a couple of Merfolk in one turn to get his team out of Anger of the Gods range? You know, that kind of setup, because he's going to be keenly aware that Anger of the Gods is an option here. Also a card like Pyroclasm. In the meantime, he's just chipping away with Kira, which is doing reasonable work.
And he could, you know, try to play around it a little bit with an uncounterable Master of Waves.
Yeah, that seems good. Because even if Anger of the Gods comes down, he still gets to keep his Master. Combust.
Yeah, Combust gets through the Kira shield.
Because it can't be countered.
Correct.
Okay. And Kira's shield does counter. That's how it works. It's about the cleanest answer you can get right there. And that was with the Master Waves on the stack, so that means it's just going to be Master and 2 friends.
He gets, oh yeah, Spreading Seas. Gives him 1 blue devotion.
Pass the turn back to Matthew Duggan. He's down a game here, but he's 12-0. He just has not bothered to lose this entire weekend.
I'm a little bit surprised by that Combust, especially when he has the Anger in hand.
Oh, there's the Anger. Clear away the 2 elementals, but of course, damage is prevented to the Master away since it has protection from red, so that thing gets to keep just chipping away.
Duggan missed his land drop there.
Yeah, what was the deal with that Combust?
I don't know.
Because Kira just dies to Combust.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, but Anger would have killed it also.
Sorry, I meant Anger.
Yeah.
So Kira just dies to Anger of the Gods anyway.
Yeah, and all the tokens do also. I don't know.
Yeah. All right, well, here's Master of Waves. Rumbling in. Oh, here's another one. Instant board state again. It's going to get remanded, though. That's just only going to draw a card, though, as Cavern of Souls says it can't be countered.
We have another sweeper, though, in Duggan's hand, even.
What did he have?
I thought he had a Fire Spout. I may be wrong, though.
He's got another anger.
Oh, another anger. Okay.
Yeah, he's also got another combust. But these are not looking good against a pair of Master Waves, and he's really kind of forced to fire off an anger here.
Yeah.
Because he just
7,
took
6 damage.
9. There's 2 Masters out there. Those are all 3-2s.
A Phantasmal Image now can copy Master of Waves.
Goodness sakes.
Or Paul could just play another Master of Waves.
He's got another one? Looks like he's going to go for Mirror Reidry here. That's going to untap a land.
Yeah, it won't untap the land itself, only when you play another Merfolk. But can bust there. Go ahead and deal with that.
All right, so Reidry down, so no lands are going to get untapped at all here. But there it is, Phantasmal Image. It's going to copy Master of the Waves. 1 mana left over for Duggan. Here we go.
And those elementals are big.
They're 4/3s. Like, he's dead next turn unless he has another sweeper?
Yeah, I guess he could have...
He can't
Scape
crypt.
Shift?
He could go land. Oh, no, he does have a Flooded Grove there. So, yeah, Scape Shift or Cryptic.
Snapcaster Anger.
Yeah, there you go.
Another turn.
But he's going to need to do one of these things. It's not looking good for him.
Not at all.
The Phantasmal Image is a Master of Waves as well, so that Combust can't even target it. He does have Snapcaster Mage.
I believe there's a repeal also, which can bounce that Phantasmal Image, but
Killing it.
it'll kill it. He won't draw the card, though, and all those elementals will still be alive because the other 2 masters are also pumping them.
Yeah, I think he's going to have to go for Snapcaster just to, and Anger just to get the elementals off the board. But even then, that has him taking a lot of damage here.
Yeah.
A couple of turns, he'll be dead.
I think he's just dead this turn.
Can he play 2 Lords this turn?
Looks like it.
Mirror Reidry. He's still got 2 mana.
Yeah,
Play him.
does Duggan have a
Pearl
bolt?
Trident. And he even gets to untap, which is actually huge here because he's got Spell Pierce in hand. So if Duggan lets him untap, he can get him. But Duggan does have the bolt.
Okay.
That means he's not dead. He takes 9. Boom.
Boom it is.
Gets you to 1.
And here it is again. If he draws the land here, he can Scape Shift.
Rietzl's at 19. He drew a Lightning Bolt.
It's not a
That's
land.
not it. Is Paul going to be 12-1? Is he going to hand Duggan his first loss of the tournament? Repeal. Can he repeal into a land and still make it work here, Jake?
No, because then he'll get Spell Pierced.
He's just going to get Spell Pierced now. And that's it. Paul Rietzl with his Merfolk deck wins yet again. A little shake of the head there. Duggan can't be too disappointed, though. He is still 12-1 here. The same record as Paul Rietzl. And they're both in good position to make the top 8 now. A couple of rounds to go for both of these players. Need to pick up a win and a draw or a couple of wins to get there. All right, let's jump over to Turbo Magic, where we have Connor Jacob versus Ben Friedman.
Ooh, we have some chaotic sleeves there. Interesting. All right, so Grizzle Shoal from from Ben Friedman over here.
Friedman's on Grizzle Shoal, or Grizz Shoal brand.
Grizz Shoal brand?
That's what they call it.
And he's playing against a
By the way,
collected company Zoo.
Before I let you get ahead, He's got Grizzlebrand on the battlefield attacking here.
Yeah, I mean, it's turn 2.
He
yeah.
got
All right,
Goryo's Vengeance, and that's the game.
Yeah.
You know, I was going to let you do your preamble about what he's up against, but in the meantime,
he's dead.
Game
yeah,
ended.
I looked down at a deck list for 2 seconds, and the game ended.
Yeah, that's what you get. Goryo's Vengeance doing work. Right, so that was game 1 going to Friedman. Deck is just crazy. There's an Aethersworn Canonist now for Connor Jacob, who you said he's on a Collected Company Zoo style deck here?
Correct.
Yeah, and he's just rumbling and rumbling.
Yeah, so we saw a pair of Path Exiles there used by Connor Jacob on his own creatures in response to the Anger of the Gods to get himself up to more mana.
To get that Knight of the Reliquary down.
Presumably had a bunch of spot removal spells in hand then.
Those paths come in handy when your opponent has a Grizzlebrand, right?
Absolutely. And there we see Knight of the Reliquary able to just attack for lethal.
All right, well, 2 quick games and fairly lopsided ones, it must be said. That doesn't mean we're going to get a game 3. Hopefully it's a little more evened out. Wild Nakano
Well,
on turn 1,
Grizzle Shoal
though,
tends to... There aren't really even games.
Fair.
You know, it either looks like you just don't do anything and lose, or
you make a Grizzlebrand
or you like make a
2.
Grizzlebrand on like one of the early turns and
2. He had it on turn 2. He went Faithless Looting.
Yeah.
Grizzlebrand you.
Turn 2 is early.
It's one of the earliest turns. All right. So what Friedman did here is he drew up to 8 and discarded Grizzlebrand the good old-fashioned way.
Yeah, I mean, when you don't have another way to do it, that's a nice.
Oh, and here we go.
strategy.
Simium Spirit Guide is going to let Goryo's Vengeance make a Grizzlebrand. One land, Grizzlebrand. Oh, man. How does that happen? I'll tap my temple. Grizzlebrand you. Now, he's got a ton of cards in his hand here.
Got to decide what he needs to discard here. It's interesting because there is a Scavenging Ooze.
Yeah. Night's Whisper. And apparently he just bricked?
He just bricked off the Grizzlebrand, yep.
Wow. Shows him his entire, 14-card hand and says, you got me. So Connor Jacobs going to win that one. That was just crazy. That's going to do it for round 12 here from Oklahoma City.
Sometimes that's just how Grizzlebrand goes.